Hello everybody, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to be covering One Piece chapter 1123, and I'm still new to this, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to edit this and make it the best possible quality ever for you guys, and for myself. So starting off, we get the cover page of Yamato, and she is eating food with the kids that were throwing stones at her yesterday. And I'm guessing the reasoning why those kids threw stones at her is probably because Kaido did something to their family or their parents or somebody that they loved, and they were probably thinking to themselves, well, she has horns, so she must be just as bad as Kaido. But thankfully, the kids have warmed up to her and they're all eating together. Same thing with Denjiro. He's also there eating with Yamato and the rest of the kids. So I'm going to be honest here. I feel so bad for my Vice Admirals because I actually like the group of Vice Admirals this time, at least most of them. So as you guys already know, the Marines are all knocked out. But shockingly enough, even the Vice Admirals are knocked out. Do you know what type of hockey you have to knock out Vice Admiral level characters? Like, Vice Admiral level characters are not as weak as people think. Like, they're nothing compared to like a third commander, I think, or even like a fourth commander, but they're strong enough, right, to the point where Conqueror's Haki should not knock them out. And we have seen this a couple other times. We've seen Luffy do it and Shanks, but both of those movies were filler movies or non-canon movies, so I'm not going to count them because they're just not canon. For me, I follow the manga strictly. And here's the cool thing. Dory says himself that Joyboy's haki is greater than Red Shanks, but it wasn't hostile. I'm not sure how to interpret that last part. And you know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel so bad for Emmett. Like, I really like Emmett as a character. He's grown on me, especially like these last couple chapters, 2-3 chapters. And Luffy thanks the Iron Giant, but unfortunately, Emmett is just standing still and is unresponsive. And it's just a sad thing to see. If you think about it too, like the damage he did just himself without the haki. For being 800 to 900 years old, all rotted, he contributed a lot, and he is the reason the Straw Hats were saved and the Giants. I'm going to keep it a band. That's the truth. If it wasn't for Emmett, I don't think they could have gone off this island, honestly. Also, don't forget, this haki literally sent back the Gorosei as well, and then scared the hell out of Imu. It's like some like god that Imu was fearful of. Like, that's how strong this haki was. I'm not sure if it reached her or she just felt it through the Gorosei, because most likely they are connected, like the Gorosei and Imu. I think they are connected, to be honest. So pretty much the Giants and the Straw Hats are home free, and they're going to Elbaf, and I am so excited for Elbaf, to be honest. We've been waiting over 1,000 chapters, 20 years plus, to get to Elbaf, and it is just so nice to see that we're actually going there. You know, Usopp's crying because of his masters, and he's just so excited. Bonnie is sleeping on Kuma, which is kind of, I guess, heartwarming to see. And Luffy looks like an old man on Nami's lap. You already know, bro. He got Nami. And Sanji is a bit upset as to what Vegapunk said. And we finally see Vegapunk's corpse. And I'm not going to lie, it's upsetting because I really like Vegapunk. He became one of my favorite characters very quickly. And Sanji is upset about kind of what Vegapunk said. So specifically, Sanji says, Vegapunk, what you said earlier isn't sitting right with me. Was this all some sort of gotcha moment for you? Hey now, I couldn't follow everything you were saying, but it was pretty outrageous, wasn't it? And frankly, to be quite honest with you guys, I would love to see Vegapunk revived, or, you know, maybe he survived, but I want to be honest, I don't think that's the case. I mean, he got donated by Saturn and then shot through that same wound with Kizaru's light beam. But if somehow, someway, this guy could be revived, and I think there's a possibility by the end of the show. And the reason why that is, technically, Vegapunk's not dead. His physical body's dead, right? But his brain is still in Punk Records. So there is a chance he can be revived by the end of the series. Like, I'm thinking, what if you just take the brain and stick it into an entire body? You know? I mean, York's still alive. Lilith is still alive. So I think there's a good chance that they could resuscitate this guy. Not as he is now, right? But when they have access to Egghead Island. And they can go back. I think Vegapunk could be revived. And hopefully he is, because I love Vegapunk. So thankfully with this chapter, a lot of loose ends are tied. And we finally get the flashback here. So we figure out from Shaka that someone has tampered with the Mother Flame to steal its energy. And one reason as to why they found this is that the energy used by the Seraphim was supposed to be gradually increased over time, but the number was off. And I'm going to be honest, that is pretty surprising. I did not know the Seraphim were getting kind of injected with the Mother Flame. I didn't know that was like powering them, but that is an interesting detail to know, to be honest. Shaka also figures out that every single data point related to the power station was modified, so somebody kind of forged them. To pull this off, the culprit has to be, and all the Vegapunks think it's Lilith immediately because she has the evil personality. And we come to find out that an insane amount of the Mother Flame energy was stolen, unfortunately. To be honest, it is shocking how much they are actually blaming and thinking that the culprit is Lilith. I'm just like, I feel so bad because I think Lilith cares about the Vegapunks the most, to be honest. I think she's the most caring. Sure, she has like a rough personality, right? But that doesn't necessarily make her bad. I'm gonna be honest, I did not know the Vegapunks had this feature or could do this, but it seems Shaka, Vegapunk, and Pythagoras have to put their brains in offline stealth mode so that their memories don't get uploaded to Punk Records. Because if that happens, then the culprit will know that they're onto them. So this is 1 week before EggHead started, and Pythagoras figures out who the culprit is, and they find out it's York. And to be honest with you, Shaka and Vegapunk are utterly shocked. They cannot believe that it's York. But then again, when you think about it, York has the greedy personality, so I am not shocked it's York. In fact, York is my least favorite Vegapunk. I think she's a moron who destroys themselves. But then again, she's greedy, so of course she wants everything for herself, and she wants to be known as the smartest scientist or doctor in the world. York has been synchronizing fake memories to Punk Records, and the surveillance snails at the scene of the crime were also tampered with, so those are fake as well. And Vegapunk is still shocked and is asking why York would ever do something like that, and he apologizes to Lilith. Obviously, she's not there, but he's kind of like apologizing to himself. Shaka also finds evidence that suggests that someone deployed the weaponized sea beast without authorization. There's also a jamming white transponder snail that they found in their investigation. Vegapunk is like, hey, I can reconstruct the call data directly from our long-distance transponder snail. So he can pretty much get the conversation back even though information's been forged. See, this is why I don't like York at all. York tells the Gorosei that Dr. Vegapunk is researching the Void Century, and this is kind of where everything goes to shit for Vegapunk. This is where everything starts falling apart, and it's really sad to see because I really do like Vegapunk, because we just literally met him in EggHead and then he died like 40 chapters later. It's kind of upsetting. I mean, he's not like my most favorite character or anything, but he's just a good character. I think he's a good dude. That's why I like him so much. And he's just smart. Like, there isn't a single person in this entire verse that is as smart as Vegapunk. Saint Saturn is a moron compared to Vegapunk. Then Vegapunk says, no wonder why Cypherpole keeps snooping around here. Well, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. If they got the message, hey, Dr. Vegapunk is researching the Void Century, of course, that's illegal. They don't want anybody looking into that. And that is strictly because they're scared of the stones or poneglyphs from the Ancient Kingdom. So 6 days before the EggHead arc, Vegapunk finds out Lelucia Kingdom was erased, and Vegapunk has a terrible feeling or a bad feeling about this situation, which is kind of saddening, you know? This guy's like getting old and he's super stressed because of himself, pretty much. Because York is Vegapunk. Vegapunk then orders Pythagoras to observe any changes to the sea levels, and the reason why that is Vegapunk does know that every time the Mother Flame or Ancient Weapon is used, the world keeps sinking, or the waters keep rising, which is a very scary thing, to be honest with you. Shaka asks Vegapunk, do you think this has something to do with the theft or the stealing of the Mother Flame? Vegapunk is 100% positive and mentions that York most likely delivered it to the world government using one of the Sea Beast weapons. Vegapunk has a theory, and he's thinking that the world government most likely possesses an ancient weapon. Vegapunk doesn't know for sure. I wish he would have said this in the message, but he just left it out, and it's so upsetting. Vegapunk says, we'll see if the evidence supports my conclusion. Poor Vegapunk, man. He's blaming himself. He thinks it's his fault and says, only a fool lets their greed run amok. I went and personified mine. So York is still Vegapunk, right? Like, they're still the same being, just separate bodies. And he pretty much says it was a mistake making York. Then Shaka states, is there any benefit to apprehend York now that they all know? And Vegapunk pretty much says it's too late for that. It doesn't matter what her motives are. The world government will erase anybody that knows of the Void Century. Vegapunk also is like, York proved her worth to them by handing over the Mother Flame. Vegapunk also says the best that they can all do is use that trust as an opportunity to determine what they are going to do with the Mother Flame and try to mitigate the damage. Shaka says, hey Vegapunk, we can still get out of here and escape. Vegapunk wants to evacuate all the other residents so that they have a shot of escaping EggHead. Vegapunk does say that it'll be impossible for the rest of the Vegapunks to escape, aside from York. She's teaming with the world government. And the Navy issued secret orders to every Navy branch and base now. So that way, if they do leave the island and the Navy's told there's too many branches, they'll eventually get caught. And unfortunately, that makes it impossible for them to get off EggHead. They had a chance with Luffy, but Vegapunk kind of was like, I'm not doing that. Vegapunk unfortunately says they'll chase us to the ends of the world and our inevitable deaths will be meaningless. So this is where Vegapunk is planning to make that message, so that way, if he does die, when he does die, the world will know the truth. Vegapunk says, at least here on EggHead, we have something that Ohara did not have 22 years ago. He says, we have the means and equipment to amplify our voices as far as possible. So that is awesome. You know, like, this is where the message comes in, and this is where they're planning to make this message. Vegapunk is asking himself, what in the hell is the world government? And he says, the closer I get, the more shrouded it becomes. So, like, he's asking himself, like, what is the purpose of the world government? And he says, if I must die, I will sell my life dearly. So he wants the people of the world to know what is happening, so that way they can keep themselves safe. You know, so that way they can survive this flood that is coming. Vegapunk then apologizes to both Shaka and Pythagoras. And the other Vegapunks are like, don't worry about it. We're Vegapunks just like you. And Shaka says, we're all thinking the same thing. Like, dude, this is awesome. See, like, this is how Vegapunks are supposed to be. You know, you're all the same person, so work well together. Don't sell yourself out because you're greedy. You know, I don't know. I get it, but at the same time, it's so damn irrational that I don't get it. Shaka asks Stella, what is death for them? You know, because even if their physical bodies die, their brain is still in Punk records. So even if Stella dies, technically he's still alive. His physical body's dead, but he himself, at least if his brain's alive, he's alive. So I think there'll be a chance that Vegapunk might get revived by the end of the series, considering his brain's still good. A Vegapunk wants to keep his Cloud Loft technology safe so that they can make artificial sky islands, so that way it'll save the humans that will be drowning because their islands are going to sink. So as long as that's safe, I think some of the people, or most of the people, can survive. As long as somehow, some way, they can make the islands before the flood comes, you know, before the whole world sinks. Then York stumbles upon Vegapunk and is asking what Vegapunk is doing with the Iron Giant. Vegapunk then tells York if their experiments to optimize the Mother Flame allow this thing to move again, it will be a big breakthrough in creating our ideal energy source. So he's still looking to perfect the Mother Flame and make the same energy that the Ancient Kingdom did. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to do that unless if York somehow can create it. But I think she's like the dumbest Vegapunk. York says, that's right, it'd be amazing if we can achieve that soon. Vegapunk says, right. Vegapunk in his head says, I can only pray it never gets perfected, and there's a reason for that. If this energy gets perfected, it will be very dangerous for the world. Think about it. The Mother Flame erased the Lucia, right? If the energy from the Ancient Kingdom, or the equivalent of that, right, is given to the world government, the damage will be astronomical. It will be unstoppable. I think the world would sink even quicker. Even though they have the Mother Flame, I think it has to run out. And here's what I mean by that. They can't just keep using it and it's just fine. Like, some of the energy has to be lost after each use. And if they have a weapon like that, think about it. They could have eliminated all the giants by now. They're on an island too, right? My whole point is if that energy gets perfected for them, it is over for the world 100%. It'll be almost impossible to stop that. And we're finally here. We see Shaka, Pythagoras, and Vegapunk creating their message. And this brings us full circle. We see Shaka recording and Pythagoras there, Vegapunk, they're making the message so that if Stella dies, the message will go out. All the Vegapunks come to a decision. Well, not all of them, but all the ones involved in this, we could call scandal. So that Shaka, Pythagoras, and Vegapunk decide that they need to wipe out their memories. And the reason for that is so that no one finds out until it's too late. And also, if they have odd behavior, it could be seen as a tip-off that spoils their plans. And Vegapunk just says, erasing our memories is the safest bet. And I agree with him. I think erasing their own memories makes it pretty much an ironclad plan. Because then, at that point, those memories could not be uploaded to Punk Records. It's the best choice, I think. The most logical choice as well. Shaka's like, there'll be consequences and we'll lose all of our memories related to this matter. The fact that York stole the Mother Flame, the fact that our lives are currently at stake. So they'll also lose that. So they won't know who stole the Mother Flame, and they won't know that their lives are at stake. And Vegapunk says that they're gonna have to suffer through this. Fear they will feel for their lives will be brand new to them. And it makes sense because they worked with the government. Vegapunk does mention that we have our countermeasures in place, even if things go sideways. Finally saying right before wiping their memories, it'll be their victory. And he was absolutely correct. I mean, most of the message went through, and I'm happy to see that the world knows what's actually going on, the truth of their world. No one, aside from like Skypiea or Sky Islands, are left in the dark. So that way they can prepare for what's coming. So Pythagoras, Shaka, and Vegapunk wipe their memories, right? Then Vegapunk finds a note, and it says, "Good morning, everybody. You'll find that you three have a missing fortnight's worth of memories that were wiped of your own volition. A number of things will probably come as a surprise because of this, which is ironically pretty amusing. I will tell you one thing, though. The world government has found out about your research into the Void Century." And they're all shocked. I'm not kidding. Like, this is a really funny panel. Like, their eyeballs are sticking out of their sockets. Like, it's so funny. And then the last thing that's written on this note, written by himself, Vegapunk, "I have already taken the best precautions as possible. You will just have to put your faith in me and die." This next panel is funny as hell. This is kind of where everything kind of comes together. Vegapunk finds out that Luffy is on EggHead, that Bonnie is, that Cypherpole's there, that the Navy is coming, and Kizaru and Saint Saturn will also be there, and he's shocked at all of it. It's really funny. I might pull the panel up on the screen so you guys can see it. It's hilarious. Vegapunk is a G. Tell Sanji, when we rescue Bonnie, I think it's best if we stay down there. Then Sanji's like, "But you're gonna die, dude," you know? And Vegapunk kind of resolves himself and says, "You don't need to help me escape anymore. I've thought about it. Just let me die here." Sanji's like, just shocked. He's like, "What do you mean? Do you have a death wish?" Vegapunk says, "No, not really, but I've come to believe that my death will set something important into motion." And he's right. I think this is probably, if not the most important thing, one of the most important things for the world of One Piece, right? Like, not for our main cast, but for the world of One Piece. But also our main cast, but just not as much. And for us, we knew most of it already. Sanji's thinking to himself, it's going to be a big mess. And he doesn't want to just sit there and watch Vegapunk die. And Sanji's like, we got to do something for him. Vegapunk tells Sanji, it's about the One Piece. And Sanji's like, what about it? Vegapunk tells Sanji, I want you guys to be the ones to find it. So he believes in the Straw Hats. And probably especially Luffy, since he's Sun God Nika or Joyboy. This right here is the last panel, and it's really nostalgic panel to see, to be honest, because it's been a while since we've seen these guys, at least from the Straw Hats perspective. We see Dory and Broggy and the rest of the Giants celebrating with Luffy and Usopp. And since Luffy is in his old wrinkled form, he's like, hold on, let's do this later. Wait for me. And Dory and Broggy are just happy that they've reunited with their old friends. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys over in the next one. And one last thing, if there's anything I can improve, please let me know. Thank you for watching.